I'm not happy.
I don't need Elizabeth Warren or the government giving away my money.
Calling Mike Bloomberg an oligarch has implications in this country that I think are unfair and unreasonable.
I care. That's it.
Makes you think of some rich person who got their money off of oil in Russia, who's taking advantage of a broken and dysfunctional system.
Bernie Sanders saying, the country's corrupt, our system's corrupt. Be careful about that language, Bernie. You know, be careful.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
Who's got a hammer? There's insanity in the control room.
Around the nation. Waldorf Nation. Everybody, welcome to the show. It's Wednesday. It's midweek. We got a show. We got a good one for you. We have, of course, a return of Pillow Talk. Oh, of course. Y'all, you know it's your favorite segment. We have more conspiracies from Mike Lindell. In fact, we got more conspiracies from Sidney Powell as well. So that's a fun story. Also, got the story that came out yesterday. I'm going to give you my take on the fact that Trump's lawyers, entire legal team, well, look, this is it's not new information. It's just reconfirming that what we've already known, that they knew it was bullshit. All their voter fraud nonsense, bullshit, absolute garbage. Fun times. So we're going to talk about that. That's going to be a fun segment. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. We got of course, other stuff as well. We got veterans calling out George W. Bush and his nice little rehabilitation tour. About damn time that somebody challenges them. Challenges him and the media that has been trying to rehabilitate a literal war criminal. And then Ron DeSantis gets a brand new Surgeon General. Not good. Not good. By the way, I'm just looking at this article that just popped up about Michael Flynn saying that the deep state is going to spike your salad dressing. It's coming for your salad dressing, everybody. The deep state's coming for your salad dressing with vaccines. And none of this stuff makes any sense. I wish I could have prepared for that story. I think maybe that's something I will do tomorrow. Because it's total, complete, utter insanity. But here we go. I don't consume salad dressing, so I'm good. Well, I don't consume salads, so I'm also good. But nonetheless. Yeah, salad dressing, RC. Salad dressing. By the way, I'm trying to shake off this weirdo headache. So I might be a little slower today, a little out of it today. Nonetheless, we got a good show, and I'm going to do this because the unvaxxed love salad. Oh, I know, right? I don't eat salads either, and I'm vegan. Well, that's an interesting choice, but okay, great. Whatever works for you, I guess. Look, I'm pretty ignorant about the vegan diet, so I have no idea. Like, isn't that what people? I don't know. I'm super ignorant about the vegan diet, and I'm going to be honest with you about that. I do not know much about it. So I'm just going to stop before I say something offensive. Because vegans, I love you. I do. I love y'all. So I'm just going to leave it there. Okay? So, all right, anyway. I'm vegan. I only eat fries. Fries, yes. Who's betting that the new Surgeon General is Dr. Teeman's first closest colleague? Wait, don't give it away. Don't give it away. Come on. You're gonna ruin it. You're gonna ruin the surprise. All right. Oh, okay. So let's do it. Let's go into our first story here about, well, not the big lie, as always. All right. Ever since the election, of course, beforehand, President Donald Trump, or former President Donald Trump and his team, have been pushing this nonsense about election fraud, this conspiracy theory involving Dominion, Smartmatic, George Soros somehow, the ghost of Hugo Chavez, China, Italy. It's really hard. It's really difficult to keep up with all this stuff. Somehow all getting together and conspiring to steal the election from Donald Trump and give it to Joe Biden. So now anyone paying attention who has two brain cells to rub together know that this is all garbage. It's fake news. It's a big lie. It's literally the big lie. And there's really nothing to it. Okay. Now, the thing is that we find out now that it's not just us that knows that it's bullshit, that it's just a gigantic lie, no absolute truth to it whatsoever. But so did Trump's lawyers. And they, of course, had admitted it many times before. And we find out more how, when they knew and how much they knew in memos, in court documents that were released on Monday. They revealed the Trump campaign had acknowledged in an internal memo that many of the bizarre theories about Dominion voting systems and Smartmatic were not based in fact or reality or anything like that, according to the New York Times. The legal filings were part of a motion last week, the defamation suit brought by former Dominion employee Eric Coomer against the Trump campaign. So Coomer, of course, had been targeted by these conspiracy theorists. And of course, what resulted from that was death threats, and all this negative attention. Disastrous. So now, in those documents, we see something that the Trump campaign doesn't have. Evidence. Yeah, I know. Evidence that Trump campaign officials knew claims the lawyers were putting out were just bullshit. There were lies. 100%. So now the memo stated that Dominion did not use software from Smartmatic during the 2020 election, and that the company had no connections to Venezuela or George Soros. Again, super weird. And that there was no evidence to substantiate the claims that the company's leadership had any ties to Antifa. Again, nonsense. Crazy, unhinged garbage. All right? Think about how wild these claims are. You're going out there and you're basically saying the ghost of Hugo Chavez rigged the election against Trump. Look, Hugo Chavez has been dead for years. That's why I keep saying ghost of Hugo Chavez, right? Because Hugo Chavez died years ago. He had no idea that Donald Trump was going to be president. It's, again, the whole thing is insane. I know, oh, well, Hugo Chavez. See, the thing is Hugo Chavez created this software, you see, in this company, and then, this guy, so he wouldn't ever lose an election again. And so, we're just going to use that in order to win for Joe Biden. Or you could just campaign better than Donald Trump, which is what happened. Plus, Donald Trump messed up the election by not taking COVID seriously. But yeah, I know, facts. They confuse people. I know. Confusing. Very scary. Facts. So now the important thing here is the timing of all of this. Now, there was an email from November 14th, okay, that showed that the Trump team knew about this. They knew these things were false. And inside this memo had a whole bunch of a list of fact checks about, you know, this voter fraud stuff. And so they all knew. They all had this distributed. All this stuff was debunked, as I'm going to give you the details of in a minute here. And yet, knowing this, all this stuff is false, I'm going to show you a press conference here that happened on the 19th, a week after that email. This is that famous press conference with Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell. Take a look.
What we are really dealing with here and uncovering more by the day is the massive influence of communist money through Venezuela, Cuba, and likely China in the interference with our elections here in the United States. The Dominion voting systems, the Smartmatic technology software, and the software that goes in other computerized voting systems here as well, not just Dominion, were created in Venezuela at the direction of Hugo Chavez to make sure he never lost an election after one constitutional referendum came out the way he did not want it to come out.
No, Hugo Chavez. Oh my God. So again, that press conference was on November 19th. And let me give you more details about, again, the timing here. Zach Parkinson was at the time the campaign's deputy director of communications. In emails included in these court documents, he had reached out to lower-level staffers on November 13th, 10 days after the election, requesting that they had to substantiate or debunk multiple claims about Dominion. Mr. Parkinson then received a response the following day from these staffers, having collected information from news sources and fact-checking websites that showed claims against Ms. Powell were already making in public were false. Here we go. They knew, and they're like, here's all the stuff that debunks her. All the actual information. Here you go. The filing also indicates the Trump campaign then chose not to reveal its findings. So they sit on all these fact checks and they said, yeah, no, we're not gonna release that information. Nope. And so this is even as Sidney Powell and other attorneys on Trump's side went on to conservative shows and websites and did op-eds and all this stuff, saying, oh yeah, no, all these so much fraud. Oh my God, you wouldn't believe all the fraud. Yeah, I mean, here it is. We've got the evidence of the fraud, which you literally had the opposite of the evidence. Or I should say you just had opposite evidence that there was no fraud. Not only that, but they further on went and filed 4 different lawsuits in federal court against Dominion, which of course waste time, waste money, and make them look completely and utterly foolish, and accused, of course, the company of having rigged the election to thwart Mr. Trump. While many dismissed the allegations made by Ms. Powell and fellow pro-Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani, the claims gained traction in conservative media, leading some to still believe that the claims almost a year later. In fact, you have a large majority of the Republican Party that still believe that the election was illegitimate, even at this point. Recent polling, this is from July, according to a Yahoo News YouGov poll, 2/3 of Republicans still believe that the election was rigged and stolen from Trump. Other polls suggest that at least half of all Republicans believe that Biden is not the legitimate president, based on these conspiracies. And so this does have an effect, all while knowing, of course, these people knew that it was a lie, absolute lie. The memo produced by the Trump campaign shows that, at least internally, the Trump campaign found that there was no evidence to support the conspiracy theories regarding Dominion, and Mr. Coomer, his lawyers, wrote in a motion to the defamation lawsuit. The article does also question if Trump knew about it. And of course, it's the New York Times, so like, well, we don't really have an indication of whether or not Mr. Trump actually had seen this memo. Doesn't matter. I think he knew. I think he knew it was bullshit. I don't have any doubt. And whether he believed it or not doesn't really matter at this point, because regardless, he still would go out and say outrageous things that were untrue, that were completely false, and did so and led to the January 6th Capitol insurrection. So it doesn't really matter. Now, what's more interesting about this, and again, you can speculate on the reasons that Donald Trump did that, ego, and or whether or not he just really just dove into this conspiracy theory for whatever reason, money, grifting, or ego, or like literal mental illness because his brain might be melting or has melted. It doesn't really matter. Again, what matters is the people who knew better and stayed quiet even though they did know better. And that's the issue. So now the motion states that the Trump campaign continued to allow its agents to advance debunked conspiracy theories and defame Mr. Coomer. So that's how this, of course, ties into the defamation suit, apparently without providing them with their own research debunking those theories. Mr. Coomer had served as Dominion's Director of Product Strategy and Security, had sued Ms. Powell, Mr. Giuliani, the Trump campaign, as well as others in a Denver State District Court last year. I'm guessing that he might win on this one. Yeah. He said that after the 2020 election, he was accused by right-wing podcast host Joel Altman of hacking Dominion systems to make sure Mr. Trump lost the election and then telling left-wing activists about the alleged actions. Following the accusations by Mr. Altman, they were repeated by Mr. Giuliani and Ms. Powell. So, again, there's absolutely no evidence of that. Oh, but you don't understand, he's got the thumb drive, and he plugged it in, and it flipped all these votes, and all that, and somehow he did all that undetected. No, that's not what happened. First of all, if you are actually caught doing this, tampering with votes, you're going to get fired, and your company's no longer going to be in business. That's terrible for money. It's terrible for actually business, right? Again, it makes no sense for this company to do so. It just doesn't. And again, we are missing the major piece here, and that would be evidence that would prove any of these conspiracies, and they just don't have it. It's just not there because it didn't happen. But now, what's funny is, interestingly enough, so we all know that Trump had distanced himself from Sidney Powell, right? Now, of course, it could be because he didn't want to get sued, et cetera, et cetera. However, that was after that insane press conference. And in December, he's like, hey, you know that crazy crackpot lady? The Kraken lady? Let's bring her back. Because, of course. And look, understand that this is not about the truth. It never was. Sidney Powell is where she is because she says insane things. That's why Trump likes her. She says exactly what he wants her to say. I mean, the Kraken. Oh, Kraken, yeah. Well, I like the Kraken. Yeah, bring her back. I want her to be my special counsel. Because he likes what she's doing. Even though, and again, facts don't matter to him because, again, we all know the truth. He's denying reality. And unfortunately, the rest of the Republican Party has followed him down this hole. All of them. The conspiracy hole. And there ain't no way of getting these people out. Move on. We got more conspiracies and more Sidney Powell. Pro-Trump lawyer Sidney Powell keeps coming up with brand new conspiracies. Even after documents showing that the Trump team knew the big lie was just that, a lie, Powell is now alleging that a Georgia man was murdered as part of a scheme to stop Brian Kemp from conducting an audit of the Georgia votes. here she is expanding on that on Andrew Womack's podcast. Womack, of course, being a very controversial right-wing, of course, pastor who's into conspiracies. Let's take a look.
I think what we are dealing with here is pervasive and very, very dark. It's organized, it's well-funded, it's pure evil. They are willing to kill people, a la Kelly Loeffler's aide in Georgia, who was suddenly blown up in his car on the way to a rally for her. He happened to be dating Governor Kemp's daughter. Governor Kemp was considering, I think, at that point, a signature audit. And then the Georgia Bureau of Investigation agent who was investigating that, he was the lead investigator, was suddenly dead within a week. And suddenly we don't hear anything else about any of that. We are talking about trillions of dollars of global wealth at issue here. The leadership and control of the most powerful country on the face of the earth.
So wait, okay, hold on here. Okay, so now this is part of a international conspiracy that involves China, Venezuela, communism, globalism, George Soros, of course, all working for Biden to get Biden elected in order to foist upon us global communism or something. Now, again, if you look at the whole of the things that she has said, it's a communist plot, there's communist money. So communist money, other countries, and trillions of dollars worth of what? None of it makes sense. For one thing, if you think that Joe Biden is a communist, you need your head examined. You have no sense of reality. Yeah, you're right. You're right. There's a ton of crazy to unpack here. But if you believe in any of this, you need your head examined. Here's the thing. You know what the real conspiracy is? It is to lie about an election in order to get chuds to hand over their money. And that's what that is. Real simple. Real simple. That's what's going on here. Look, either she is lying or she actually really believes this. And in that case, there's something mentally wrong with her. But either she's lying, Giuliani is lying, Lynn Wood is lying, Trump is lying, and maybe they're lying because they want your money. I mean, that's a real simple conspiracy, right? But it would actually happen to be true because they're running a scam is what they're doing. They know the truth. The Trump team had the truth already. And they refused to release the memo, knowing that, we did the research on it. Turns out, y'all are full of crap. Or I should say, we're all full of crap. And I think that if we're going to go the route of calling them grifters, which is very, 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 very possible, right? What they're doing then, since they do know the truth, is that they're relying on the poorly informed or uninformed, as well as, of course, the real distrust in media and government, because there is a distrust. And those people who do a lot of this distrust or have a lot of this distrust tend to believe more in conspiracy theories because of it. And so, again, if they do believe this stuff, then they fooled themselves and they're going to see some consequences. But if not, I mean, I just don't see the long-term gains to be had here. Giuliani has already lost his ability to practice law in New York. He's about to go broke, which is why he's hustling on Cameo. And of course, you have these defamation lawsuits against Mike Pillow, Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, et cetera, et cetera. So I just don't see where the real profit is in this long term. It doesn't make sense to me. So maybe maybe they actually do believe this stuff. And in that case, we have we've got a real, mental illness problem among Trump supporters. And that's not to, of course, try to, be ableist or make fun of people with mental disabilities, but these people have something wrong with them. if they actually do believe this, if they've tricked themselves into believing this nonsense. And that's the problem here. So now, let me go to the facts. No one was murdered over an audit. That didn't actually happen. The story that she told about Loeffler's aide being blown up in their car, not true at all. So I did a little research into this. The man, the staffer, was named Harrison Deal. And he actually died in a 3-vehicle crash on I-16, according to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. So that was a car crash. It was a car accident. Car accidents happen to, they happen a lot, unfortunately, fairly often. And yet he's saying this is a car bomb. So this is really reminiscent of some of the other conspiracies about people's deaths. Seth Rich comes to mind, right? Oh, Seth Rich is murdered. He's murdered. Well, okay. The conspiracy is murdered by Hillary Clinton. Insanity, no proof. Robbery gone wrong. Okay, and as a pretty low level staffer in the DNC, why would he have the information that you think that he had, or whatever? It doesn't make any sense, and it goes just wild speculation, and that's the thing. You want to ask where they come up with this stuff. Generally, they pull it out of their ass. And the thing about conspiracies is that they're pretty easy to make up. And either the person is making it up on purpose because, oh, hey, you know what? This is pretty easy. I'm going to spread this disinformation. And somehow that's going to either make me famous or make me profit, or I'm going to get followers, I'm going to get clicks, I'm going to get views. If you're somebody on YouTube, for example, that deals in a lot of conspiracy theories, like many do on the right. Or the other thing is, maybe they think, no, I believe this, and I'm a genius because I'm the only person that figured it out. And of course, as I mentioned before, every conspiracy starts with a little tiny kernel of truth. Something in there that, okay, that's a factual point, but then they go and connect things that don't necessarily have any connections at all. But they go, look at that. See, I draw a line here. You're in. I create this weird thing. And it comes out to be a Star of David. Who would have thought? No, you drew that yourself. You're drawing all these conclusions from things that are not necessarily related. It doesn't make any sense. And they say, well, so don't you see it? No, I don't see it. Because I'm not insane. But the thing is, for the former, conspiracies make you feel like you are smarter than everyone else. Oh, see, I know the actual truth. Yeah. I know the real truth. I've been looking into it. You're all sheep. You're following the establishment line. That's what you're doing. Yeah, you're following the CNN's Stelter. Whereas I got the actual truth. I'm the only one that's telling you the truth. The government's going to come after you. They're going to inject your salad dressing full of COVID vaccines. Then you're going to lose your testosterone. Yeah, your balls are going to swell up. They're going to fall off. Yeah, that's what's going on here. Yeah, see, I know the truth. I know the real one. No. And by the way, for the Alex Jones of the world, again, conspiracies present a financial opportunity to exploit people in a very easy and substantial way because people are so distrustful of institutions. Because there are legitimate problems with some of our institutions, by the way. And I'm not saying that, like, the news media never gets it wrong. Of course they do get it wrong. That science never makes a mistake. The whole process of science is you make a mistake, okay, you tested that, and it didn't work. So then you move on to something else, okay? And you move on and you shape your hypotheses and you do testing and observation. And that's the scientific method. That's how that works. And sometimes you're going to arrive at a wrong answer, but that's kind of the point. Because you eliminate that answer. You eliminate the wrong ones. And eventually you end up with the right answer. That's how this stuff works. And people have a misunderstanding of how these things actually work. And also They don't understand that, yes, these institutions, guess what? They're filled with people, and people do make mistakes. But generally, we have systems in place that will double check and go and correct those mistakes. That's what the reality is. It's not some grand conspiracy that you have found, that you have pointed out. Generally, I'm not saying there isn't conspiracies. I'm not saying that things that are considered to be conspiracies haven't been, in some cases, true. But generally, the ones that are true tend to be very simple. Not these weirdo, grandiose, everyone's in on it kind of things, like, oh, climate change, everybody's into it. All the governments in the world are in on it. Oh yeah, that's what we're doing. Yeah, we're gonna make sure that we get shoved in. People get shoved into hobbit homes. Yeah, no, makes no sense. You're speaking nonsense. And part of that, by the way, is fear. Conspiracies happen to run on fear. That's a major part of what makes these so, I think, attractive to certain people, because of that fear element and like, oh my God, what if this is true? Part of it also, I mean, for QAnon, for example, some parts of QAnon, there is an actual, like, some people get sucked into it, like, you know, soccer moms, you know, that are like middle class, suburban soccer moms getting sucked into this insanity. Because first it's, well, of course I care about children. I don't want children to get hurt. Oh my God, they're sex trafficking. They're sex trafficking of minors. Oh my God, I got to do something about it. And then they get sucked into a hole where suddenly you believe that Donald Trump is an agent of, you know, God, and Joe Biden is the, you know, or whatever the Democrats are in a satanic pedophile cabal. That's how it happens. And unfortunately, we are living at a time where there is a lot of uncertainty, and of course we have a news media that has a big fixation on, you know, on showing negative stories, because those get the clicks and people pay attention, because we're only human, and advertising, you know, dollars are on the line. So of course, if it bleeds, it leads, and that leads people to think that we live in incredibly uncertain and just horrific, scary times. When, yes, there are negative things, there are bad things that happen all over the country and all over the world, but generally we actually tend to live in the safest time period that I think we've ever had before in human history. And yet these conspiracy theories are on the rise and continue to permeate social media spaces like Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. So, again, you just have to be, if you want to create a conspiracy, you just got to be creative and have absolutely no qualms about lying to people if you're doing it for a grift and taking advantage of them. And if you actually do believe this stuff, well, you are the one being taken advantage of. And so I'm not entirely sure what box Sidney Powell belongs in. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter at this point, because wittingly or not, sure, she is actually doing real harm to democracy by spreading these unhinged lies. We just got to continue to correct the record and hope the truth, you know, wins out. All right. All right. We're going to move on here. Okay. I've met some of the nicest people at satanic cabals, right? And not that I've been at any, but yeah. All right. Reading a couple comments here. Have those Hobbit hole conspiracy theorists ever seen Lord of the Rings? Those Hobbit holes, they do. They really do. I'll take a Hobbit hole. You belong to the garbage box. True. All right, so move on. We got another conspiracy, of course. Why is it that most of my day is spent debunking right-wing conspiracies? Oh, right. It's because This is all that comes out of the right wing. All right. Mike Pillow has a new announcement, which happens to coincide with the Alabama Secretary of State calling him out for BS, which means it's time for another episode of Pillow Talk.
God gave me this platform. I already know I'm going to win. China did our vote. Biden and Harris would say, hey, we're here to protect the country, and resign. Mike Lindell's a conspiracy. But you haven't. Just forget about the evidence. This was attacked.
So, MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell is being called out by Alabama Secretary of State John Merrill over some recent statements. Lindell recently claimed on a video posted to his own website, Frank Speech, which you have to sign up to view. So let me just note, I am not signing up for Frank Speech. I'm not going to give that guy my personal information, especially knowing how they have no idea how to run a secure website at all. Likely, as soon as you sign up, third-party groups are going to grab your information and, and I don't know what they're going to do with it, honestly. So I'm not going to show you that video, but I have another. Now, in that video, Mike Lindell claims that cyber criminals had flipped 100,000 votes from Trump to Joe Biden in the election. Lindell said that while Alabama is a, quote, role model as to how elections should go, its voting system was hacked. Just like every other state, all 50 states, all of them hacked. But he says, well, this time it could have been by Bluetooth technology. Ah, yes. Okay, so where's the evidence of the Bluetooth hacking then? Oh, of course, there is no evidence. He didn't present any, at least. Here's what he said. This was the one time we're going to have to do a little bit of a deeper dive here. On the surface, you can't see where it happened. But I guarantee they've had to do it in Alabama as the bad people went deeper into the well, very deep into the well of how they did the flips. And we're going deep. And possibly 3 levels deep. Very, very deep. I mean, how deep this well goes. I mean, I don't know. Oh, but they went in deep. Then they did the flips. They did the flips. Very, very detailed. Very. So now, the thing is, Merrill comes back and says, no, actually, that's literally impossible to do. Our system doesn't even have Bluetooth. He said, all of our voting machines are custom built. There's no modem component. So it's really hard to connect something to the internet or to the Bluetooth if you don't have a modem. And so he says, you can't influence them, the voting machines, through a cell phone or a landline. There's no way they can be probed or numbers manipulated. So we are going deep and they're getting probed. That's what I get from this. All right. Merrill also said Lindell had purchased copies of Alabama's voting rolls, a service that's available to anyone, and said that any analysis that shows manipulation is wrong. Fun. Now, he said, quote, we didn't have any vote changes. 0. It's not possible to have any vote changed, Merrill said. Yes. So now, understand this is what Lindell keeps doing. See, he's saying everything's hacked. It's all hacked. It can be hacked. But okay, but how do you hack something if it's not on the internet? Or if you can't have wireless technology? It would be really stupid to have a voting system, a machine that is connected to Wi-Fi or Bluetooth technology, and to have it turned on and available to use unsecured without a password on election day. That would be oversight after oversight after oversight. I mean, you would have to fuck up royally to have something like that happen. And again, this is even if the machine had those capabilities. which apparently in Alabama did not. But that's where the conspiracy comes in, you see. Oh, yes. So now it wasn't just, even if they didn't have this stuff, well, that's okay. That there could be either incompetence or it was planned. The Republicans that were messing with this stuff. They could put the thumb drive in. They could boop, boop, boop. They could stick it right in the side and right in the port. So we're doing the probes and we're going deep with the ports and sticking things in the thumb drives. We're doing all this sorts of stuff. Sounds kinky. No, okay, you would think that then there would be people monitoring this stuff. But again, that's where the conspiracy comes in. But they're all in on it. Okay, but generally when a conspiracy tends to get too large with too many people involved, you're going to get found out. That's what happens. That's why it doesn't make any sense. Numerous reasons why this doesn't make any sense. There is no evidence of this. None at all. None at all. And they just don't have it. They really are grasping at some pretty desperate straws here. So now that is why this lack of evidence is why Mike Pillow had another new announcement last night, which is, of course, that he is once again moving the goalpost.
Let me tell you, this is the big announcement, everyone. I made a promise to this country that we would, with all the evidence I have, that we would get it to the Supreme Court, and I predicted they would vote 9-0 to look at the evidence. Now, we had originally, I had hoped for August and September. That's why we had the cyber symposium, was to spread the word that, yes, this was from the 2020 election, because what is our biggest block? The media is our biggest block. After the cyber symposium, Steve, which all 50 states were present, the media went completely Fox. I call it going Fox on me. Nobody talked to me. They went completely south, okay? They went in their foxholes like Fox. Shame on you, Fox. They have cost our country so much. It's horrible what they've done to our country. But in spite of Fox, everybody, what we've done now is I went and took the evidence, went to these states, because it's easier to get in the red states because they don't mind you. Hey, come in and look at our routers and our machines and check out, because nothing happened here. Well, guess what? I got news for everybody. Right now, I asked all the lawyers just yesterday, we are taking this case to the Supreme Court before Thanksgiving. Now, maybe Fox will report that today. You heard it here first, that our case is ready. We are bringing it to the Supreme Court before Thanksgiving. Now, there's many, many states. I'm not going to sit here. The left-wing media will be calling me up. Who's all on board? You know what? By the time I'm done, I'm hoping all 50 states are on board, because we want our country back, and we're getting it back.
Oh, there's a lot in there. For one, what left-wing media? I'm just going to ask that question. I guess if you're talking about independent progressive media, sure, that's the only left-wing media we actually have in this country. And I don't think any of us are really going to plan on calling up Mike Pillow, unless, of course, you're David Pakman, who just calls up Mike Pillow and has him on the show to embarrass him. Because it's funny. Because the guy's a clown. But okay, all right. So let's get to the meat here. Go along with this giant potato. An inside joke. All right, so he's mad at Fox. He's big mad at Fox. You just noticed, they're hiding in their foxholes. Oh, because they wouldn't play, of course, an ad for a cyber symposium because Fox News doesn't want to get sued. I mean, I don't really blame them. That's a lot of money. Which, by the way, Mike Lindell, you were being sued for saying the things that you're saying. But no, we're going to bring it to the Supreme Court. We're going to bring it there before Thanksgiving. Oh, good. Oh, great. I can't wait. Have a little turkey, a little ham, watch Mike Lindell get laughed out of court. It's better than watching football. Way better. Hilarious. Can't wait. But no, here's the thing. That's not going to happen. Unfortunately for us, We will not watch that happen because it's not going to happen. Everybody knows that Mike Lindell's predictions mean absolutely nothing because he is a clown. But interestingly enough, he's a clown that doesn't understand that he's in the circus. He doesn't know he's a clown. It's like the Sixth Sense, but with clowns. Oh, I see dead people, right? I see dumb people. I see clowns everywhere. Joker's to the left of me, right? I forget the other part of that. I don't know why, but song lyrics are not my strong suit, apparently. Yeah. But anyway, no, he is the clown, and we are stuck with him. Ridiculous. But here's the thing, right? So now, the sad part about the whole thing is that this guy's got some serious issues. He got some mental issues. As TYT investigates detailed before, this guy is being lied to and manipulated by a shady Christian organization known as the Family. They made him believe that this is all divine providence, when in reality, he's just a money farm for them. And when he runs out of money, well, I mean, that's it. Then he's done. He's going to be tossed aside after Dominion gets done with him. So now I don't feel for him or anything. I shouldn't feel bad for him, and no one should. I'm just saying that that's the reality of the situation. He has made himself a victim by buying into this nonsense, this buffoonery. Lindell doesn't even grasp that you can't just take things not to the Supreme Court. Things only go to the Supreme Court after a lengthy appeals process in the lower courts. Thank you, Jimmy G, for pointing that out as well. But like a lot of these Trump supporters, they don't understand how the process works at all. At all. Now, of course, he got mocked online. That's always fun. One person says that's ridiculous. This ridiculous prediction is like Mike Lindell's prior ones regarding the same thing. Seems calculated to achieve little more than to provide a vehicle for him to fundraise. Interesting. Other person asks, who the hell is Mike Lindell and why should anyone listen to that lunatic? So sick of these people trying to appeal to Trump's base for financial reasons, but destroying our country with lies at the same time. So now the reason, of course, that they keep reaching into that well of Trump supporters is because they keep giving money. I mean, you know, if the money stops flowing, well, then maybe we'll see less of this. I don't know. Another Twitter user added, just keep pushing those goalposts to keep money hanging on, so they will keep giving money. Well, hanging on, sorry. Another said, Mike Lindell might be one of the stupidest human beings. True. And finally, one more. Have you ever in your life witnessed someone trying harder to hold on to relevance than that they never actually had, more than this pillow manufacturer? Now, the only thing here is, I don't see him winning with this. He's going to be very broke very soon. I mean, you know, when Dominion gets done with him. So there's just no, and maybe this is my problem. Like, I know how to long-term plan better than all these people. But for me, there's usually some sort of long-term goal here. Power, relevance, money, opportunity. I don't see that happening with any of these people. In the short term, you know, maybe they're getting some donations and maybe they're getting some increased sales. But, you know, from what I'm seeing, that's not happening with Mike Pillow. He's not doing well, and there's only so many pillows you can sell. And so I just don't see the long term here, the long-term benefit of doubling down on this type of stupid. Then again, I guess if you look at how much money Donald Trump has raised for the so-called election defense that he hasn't spent on election defense or on any of these challenges that he is currently living off of, well, then maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is a financial incentive, and that is short-term, but it will not pay out in the long term. They've got a lot to lose, and I think they're going to lose it. He has over 6 million masks that he made that he can't even give away. True. Very true. All right. Let's go to something a little bit different. Let's call out some war criminal. A war criminal, I should say. Former President George W. Bush is trying so hard to get back into polite society. And he is actually doing so. He is succeeding with the assistance of anti-Trump conservatives and cocktail circuit liberals, liberal celebrities specifically. So now, with their help, Bush has been working on this image of, golly gee whiz, I'm just a jolly old man. I just want to paint, and I'm gee willikers, have a beer with you. Did you know he just wants to paint pretty pictures, guys? I mean, that's all he wants to do, and is try to stay quiet and paint pretty pictures, and occasionally tweet about how Trump bad. So now, while mainstream media and liberal celebrities like Ellen fawn over this guy, the victims of his war crimes are not allowing him to be rehabilitated without a fight. So now, during an appearance at a swanky speaking circuit featuring so-called public intellectuals and celebrities, an anti-war activist had interrupted Bush's speech. It was awesome. I'm going to show you that. Take a look.
Okay. Sir, this is not the time. This is not the time for that, sir. Yes. No. No, it is disrespectful to the audience. Yeah. Yeah, no. There we go.
That's okay. Here's the thing in America. The good news is, in other countries, the guy would end up in jail for yelling at a president. Yeah. Here he's allowed to express himself, and I want to apologize for...
He did not go on to apologize for killing 1 million innocent people. No. He wanted to apologize for, apparently, this interruption. How rude. Oh, I can't believe how rude these people are. Oh, my God. Well, when you're calling out my war crimes. Oh. So now, I want to give credit here. The person that was yelling is activist Jeb Sprague. So Sprague has a cousin, or it was in the military, and has suffered greatly as a result of being in the Iraq War. So now, I love that he's calling out Bush's war crimes. That's wonderful. One thing I also noticed, though, by the way, is the person who was hosting this. He's like, oh, how disrespectful are you? Stop being disrespectful to the audience. Interrupting George W. Bush. Oh, my God. He thinks it's more disrespectful to interrupt a former president war criminal than to tell people what Bush actually did when he was in office. Isn't that interesting how that seems to work out? It's almost as if they never cared about the million innocent Iraqis that died as a result of our war of aggression. Sir, you were being so disrespectful. How dare you ever question the great George W. Bush? I mean, he's not Trump after all. Oh, Trump worse. Oh. No, what was also interesting about this was George W. Bush's reaction, of course. The laugh. Notice the little uncomfortable laugh, like, oh. And then, of course, says, well, at least you've got the freedom to say that in America. Do we, though? Sprague got kicked out and literally banned. Here's what he said on Twitter about it. He said, Speakers LA, who was hosting the event, told me that I am officially banned from ever attending any of their future events. What happened to free speech? Don't you believe in free speech? That was his free speech. Totally worth it, though, by the way. Well done. Well done by Sprague. Now, he's not the only one, of course. See, this is just one of several interruptions to George W. Bush from anti-war activists. The next one actually happened the night prior, which was when veteran Mike Prisner interrupted Bush. Here's that video. Take a look.
Mr. Bush, when are you going to apologize for the million Iraqis that are dead because you lied? You lied about weapons of mass destruction. You lied about connections to 9/11. You lied about Iraq being a threat. You sent me to Iraq. You sent me to Iraq in 2003. My friends are dead. Joshua Castile. You killed people. You lied. You lied about WMD. A million Iraqis are dead because you lied. My friends are dead because you lied. You need to apologize. Apologize.
Now, Prisoner, by the way, is a co-host of the Empire Files, so definitely check that out. I can't love that enough, and I can't thank Sprague and Prisoner enough for doing this. It is important that we make sure to not rehabilitate war criminals. And that's what they've been trying to do. Understand that ever since, around Trump, here you had all these different celebrities and political figures that have been like, oh, buddy with George W. Bush, Michelle Obama. Oh, buddy with George W. Bush. Oh, he gave me some candy. Yeah, but he killed 1 million innocent people, at least, through his actions. Through the war, launched a horrific war on so-called terror, when in reality, we were the ones that were bringing the terror. A war criminal, one of the worst presidents we've had. I mean, when you look at terms of body count, easily surpasses Donald Trump. And Donald Trump himself was awful. But again, when it came to body count, the Bush wars surpassed it. And it was the wars that he started. So now let me give you some details about that, okay? So Nicholas Davies, along with Medea Benjamin, have estimated that as a result, 2.4 million people have been killed in Iraq as a result of our war, of our invasion. The report also details an estimate of 1.2 million people killed in Afghanistan and Pakistan, again, as a result of our war on terror. Again, who's doing the terror here? Who's doing the terror here? About 3,000 people, nearly 3,000 people died on 9/11, and that's a horrible tragedy. But the results, I mean, what we did as a result of that far surpasses that in terms of terror. Now, that's not even counting the violent deaths from military and CIA interventions in places like Libya, Syria, Somalia, Yemen, where we're continuing to do drone strikes. It's estimated, by the way, that around 250,000 Libyans have been killed in that war, violence, and chaos following the U.S. intervention back in 2011. They're open-air slave markets as a result. And by the way, a note on the numbers. These are estimates. They could actually be higher because we don't have a lot of great reporting and accurate death counts. And a lot of that has to do with mainstream media ignoring U.S. war crimes. And not only that, because let's be honest, U.S. corporate media is thirsty for war. They love war. They love doing nationalism and, banging the war drum and, grabbing that flag. And it's just, that's what they do. They're thirsty for war. Now, if you want the information about how Nicholas Davies gets to these numbers, I'm gonna put a link in the description here and direct you to Nicholas J.S. Davies' book, Blood on Our Hands, The American Invasion and Destruction of Iraq, and his 2018 articles about the death toll from our supposed war on terror, published by Consortium News. And again, that link will be in the description of this video. So now, bottom line, we should not be rehabilitating war criminals into polite society. They don't belong here. They don't belong there. Unfortunately, that is the current polite society, where we just kind of ignore that, ignore the atrocities to continue the American empire. If you are rich and powerful and a member of the elite, you're not going to give a damn about people in other countries who are suffering as a result of the comforts that we take advantage here at home. Especially if you're a Republican. Again, plenty of liberals also seem to have forgotten the horrible, atrocities committed in both Iraq and Afghanistan. And right now, look, Chelsea Manning great example of somebody who exposed war crimes, how he killed innocent people, medical people, professionals, children, etc. Exposing these. And what do we do to them? We'll lock them up. We throw them in prison. Because, oh, it's embarrassing. Oh, we don't want the American people to actually know what our military is doing on their behalf. But unfortunately, there's so many people in America, in this country, that don't actually care about what happens to people overseas. It's horrifying. But, you know, if you're a Republican, you don't really care that they're brown. If you're a mainstream liberal, out of sight, out of mind, you just don't think about it. And unfortunately, both sides feed the war machine. And so people that don't stand up against it, you know, they feed the war machine. People that don't call out war criminals for what they are, feeding the war machine. And I hate to break it to you too, but all of our recent presidents have all been war criminals. Again, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Barack Obama. I know it's not very popular to point those things out, but they committed to those atrocities as well, to those numbers, by participating in this so-called war on terror. It didn't get a lot of attention, but Joe Biden's drone strike after the bombing of Kabul ended up killing 10 innocent people. 7 of them children. 1 of them was an aid worker. And the response was, oops, golly gee, got it wrong. Ho, no. Sorry, oops. I guess we should do an investigation. Like an investigation is going to bring those people back. And not only this, but here's the thing, right? The drone program for years has been called out because of the amount of innocent people that are killed, that are mistaken for the enemy. They make it seem like, the drone warfare, the drone's very, very efficient, very good at finding out who the enemy is and who isn't. No, it's not. Actually terrible. Turns out, over the course of the war, it's estimated 47,000 Afghan civilians were killed, according to the Cost of War Project. And of course, that's between, normal, conventional military strikes, drone strikes, and airstrikes. And of course, you look at the different presidents. Under Trump, we had a massive bump of civilian casualties as a result of Trump loosening those rules, in which the military was like, great, we get to take the gloves off, just bomb whoever the hell we want, civilian or not. We don't really care. They're brown. But I do want to call out one more person here, Tulsi Gabbard. So on the issue of drone strikes, Tulsi Gabbard is not an anti-war person. Okay, she came out with a video just recently saying that, by the way, aloha, I have been gone, targeting dangerous Islamists. She supports war. Well, I should say the war on terror, drone strikes, and torture. But don't worry, it's against those Islamists, so it's okay. Brown people, hey, we'll go after them. No, you don't get to be anti-war and then claim drone strikes, which kill innocent people. You can't do that. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Sorry. That's not how that works. So, overall, though, I want to thank Prisoner and Sprague for calling out George W. Bush, for really trying to get that anti-war sentiment back into the left, which has been missing for quite some time, and calling out these war criminals, and calling out the legacy of not only George W. Bush, but Barack Obama, Donald Trump, and Joe Biden. All right. One more story here, real quick. Amy Goodman has been calling out these people for years. Good. I love it. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has a brand new Surgeon General. who has a little bit of a colorful past. So now, Newsweek reports that newly minted Florida Surgeon General Dr. Joseph Ladapo has a history of questioning vaccines and masks, against vaccine mandates, of course, to combat COVID, and had also appeared in a hydroxychloroquine promoting video last year that was organized by a fringe group of so-called medical professionals known as the, of course, America's Frontline Doctors. Now, they are, of course, now, they were pushing hydroxychloroquine. Now they're pushing ivermectin as a cure treatment for COVID-19, which has not been proven to be effective. Nonetheless, in July 2020, Ladapo appeared in a 43-minute viral video as part of a group called America's Frontline Doctors. The video promoted hydroxychloroquine, even though studies haven't substantiated that claim. It's funny how they moved from hydroxychloroquine to ivermectin, and now they're moving to gargling iodine. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Please don't do that. So they're doing ridiculous things. And the video also said that masks do nothing to slow the virus spread and that COVID-19 is less deadly than the flu. Both claims, of course, are untrue. I love how conspiracy theorists are like, oh yeah? Oh yeah? Where did the flu go? Masks. The masks reduced the number of flu cases. I mean, that's and in places, by the way, where you have high vaccination rates and people that are following masks, you know, doing the masking and social distancing, you have less cases of COVID. I mean, it's right there. It's right there. It's right before, right in, you know, you can see it right in front of your eyes. That all that stuff together works. It works. But no, he says, no, we're not going to do that. No. Also making an appearance with with Ladapo in the video was, of course, Dr. Stella Emanuel. Gained notoriety last year for her theories about demons coming to Earth and impregnating women, as well as physicians using alien DNA to treat patients. The aliens and the demons, that's who this guy hangs out with. Oh boy. And this person is now the top doctor in Florida. Great. Now, there's no way that this won't be a complete and unmitigated disaster. In fact, the Sun Sentinel is reporting that Ladapo wasted no time ending the state's few COVID-19 public health regulations. Specifically, Ladapo has ruled that parents no longer have to quarantine children if they've been exposed to someone who has tested positive for COVID-19. Rather, parents will now have the option of keeping their kids home from school or just sending them back in. Oh, you were exposed to somebody with COVID? Go to school. Just get your butt in there. I don't feel like watching you or paying for, I don't feel like watching you and quarantining. No, we're just not going to do any of that. Just go to school. Go to school. Spread COVID around. Great. Fun. Now, the new rule also wipes out previous one that required students to quarantine off campus at least 4 days after exposure to someone with the virus. Some Sentinel writes, it does not alter Florida's ban against mask mandates. However, as it reiterates the previous order's requirement, the parents be able to opt out their children from wearing face coverings, which of course will have the result of more COVID cases, not less. And so that leads me to believe that they are literally just trying to get people sick in Florida on purpose. They're spreading it around. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, I think it's politics. That's the answer here. And again, all conservatives, they have this like talking point where it's like, oh, how dare you make COVID political? And that's the problem here. It's so political. You're the ones who've made it political. Your identity is built around now COVID being political. I'm not going to take my vaccine. I'm not going to wear no mask. You know why? Because that makes me a true conservative. That makes me a true Republican. Yeah, not believing in science. This makes me a true Republican. No, it makes you an idiot, and it makes you a harborer of the virus, a vector of infection. That's what it makes you. Again, the results of this, of this doing this herd immunity, because that's what they're doing. They're doing herd immunity, but without the vaccine. That's what they're trying to do. The result, of course, of that is more people are going to get sick. Obviously, many more of the unvaccinated will die. That's the whole problem with herd immunity sans vaccine. Again, there were countries that tried to do this, and there were an unacceptable amount of deaths. Yes, it is natural immunity after you get it more effective and better? Generally, but the problem is you got to get sick first, and a lot of people, unfortunately, do not survive that. That's why it's better to get a vaccine. That's just why it's better to get the vaccine. Again, if you get COVID-19 from a breakthrough case, which absolutely does happen, you're going to have less severe symptoms. They're going to be generally mild and generally keep you out of the hospital. That's the whole point of the vaccine. Now, the thing is, of course, for political reasons, as I said before, in Florida, what you're going to see is more cases among the unvaccinated, more deaths among the unvaccinated, more breakthrough cases among the vaccinated, more variants that could possibly develop, more Regeneron treatments. I think we did this. Regeneron. So now, what's the thing about Regeneron? Well, it turns out Regeneron is a company that, well, Ron DeSantis is personally invested in. He actually gets kickbacks from this company. Oh, oops. So the result is, as the state gets overrun by COVID cases and hospitals run out of room, which are pretty much at capacity anyway, he's going to make money while his people die. And you know what? That's going to benefit him politically as well. Conservatives are holding him up as an example of somebody who is going to do the right thing. Because, freedom, right? The freedom. The sad reality about this is that there are very little consequences for DeSantis. The worst that could happen to him is being voted out of office, to which, of course, he'll end up getting a pretty fancy job somewhere else. Now, that could happen. His approval rating is down by 14 points amid COVID. Same as Governor of Texas, Greg Abbott. But who knows if that's going to hold when his re-election chance, election campaign kicks into high gear. I think he's banking on the conspiracy theorists to carry him through. In fact, you will have a total of 83% of Republicans in Florida, according to a recent Morning Consult poll, that think he's doing a great job. Yeah, yay, DeSantis. Woo! He doesn't give a damn that he's killing his own constituents, because guess what? The hogs still love what he's doing. COVID has killed nearly 52,000 Florida residents. That number ain't going to stop anytime soon with people like this in charge. So my advice is stay the hell away from Florida if possible. If you live there, and I know people that do, keep doing what you can to stay safe. Get your vaccine, wear a mask, do the social distancing, stay home if you can, and hope for the best, because it's going to get terrible. And it already is terrible. Okay. They're head over heels for him there. I know. Disastrous. All right. That's it. That's all I got today. Thank you for going around the nation today. Please like and share the stream if you haven't already. And watch your salad dressing. You never know when it's going to get spiked with the vaccine. Insane. Completely insane. Farron's in Florida. I know. I worry about him. He's got asthma. So, and already it's difficult for people to afford inhalers. So, and I remember him talking about that. He lives in Florida. He's got asthma. And now you got demon sperm doctor's friend that is ripping up mask requirements it's going to be a disaster. So I do worry about him quite a bit. And I just, you know, I know he's smart. I know he's going to try to be as safe as possible. But, man. Bad situation. Not good. Very bad. All right. Before I go, I'm going to read a super chat here that I got a while back. By the way, that is one way that you can help the show. Another way you can help the show is, of course, Patreon. Patreon.com/DiffWaldorf, or, you know, sub on Twitch if you're there. You can also, I think there's a way that you can also become a member on Facebook as well. Though I'm not quite sure what that is actually called. It escapes me at the moment. Many things. Many great things. Elwell says, put the vaccine in ranch and the entire South and Midwest would be vaccinated in a week. True. True. All right. That said, we're going to raid into, see what channels are going here on Twitch. Let's see. Do a surf raid. That. Raid into the surfs. Obviously, surfs are, you know, do good work, based, all that wonderful stuff. So they might even be poggies. I don't know. All right. Anyway, thank you all. Love you. And remember, change begins with you. Good night. See you tomorrow.
Oh, man, I'm sorry.
Dumps. Big, massive dumps.
Mike Pence.
Please clap. You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.